Hello, this is Sal Salvo, and this is going to be the first of a series of videos that we're doing. And if you're looking at my screen right now, you're seeing a picture of my dad. My dad was a World War II vet, and the reason I'm doing this video, and I do a lot of public speaking around the country, is to try to help people avoid some of the mistakes that were made in my own family. And my dad was a World War II vet. He was a medic in World War II. Those guys that had the crosses on their helmets. And when he got out of the military, he was a confectionery artist and used to put those decorations you see on little cakes, and built a business. And at one point owned the Atlantic Candy Kitchen in Seaside Heights in New Jersey, which is a quarter block off the boardwalk. And then my mom got ill when my dad was about 65 years old, and so he had to basically sell the business, liquidate it, and retire. He took enough money, which he thought would be enough for him and my mom to retire down in Florida. And I had just come into the business at the time, was kind of new, and I was explaining to my dad and my mom that would be helpful if they invested in some kind of a diversified portfolio, but he didn't really listen to me. Again, what do I know? I was just new in the business, and basically put all the money in CDs and retired. And when he was 80 years old, my mom called me and said, and was crying on the phone, and said, "Your father went back to work." I said, "Well, oh, that's great." I thought it was great because my father always loved to work. She goes, "No, you don't understand. We're out of money." And so from when my dad was 80 years old till he was 96 years old, 98 years old when he passed away a couple of years ago, my brother and I, we had to take care of him financially. And I could never give the check to him. He wouldn't take it. He was embarrassed. I always had to give it to my mom. And the truth be told, I don't want that to happen to anybody else. And so that's my motivation for doing these seminars. So let's get into it, into the first seminar, and we will, there's going to be a whole series, and the first thing I want to share with you is that everyone has a circle of wealth. And what we know about your circle of wealth is that your wealth is bigger than some and maybe smaller than others. But we all have the same goal, and the goal is for us to grow this circle of wealth and make it bigger. And here's what's interesting. This circle of wealth is broken up into three parts. There's your accumulated money. And what's interesting is that most financial advisors want to focus on the money that you've already accumulated. They want to tell you that, let's see what you're doing. We could do a better job. And maybe they can, maybe they can't. But there are two other areas. And the second part of your circle of wealth is your lifestyle wealth. This is your lifestyle money, the money that you're using to live the life that you're living, drive the car you want, go on vacations, live in a home that you want to live in, and so on. And if I was to ask you on a scale from 1 to 10, are you putting away enough money for your financial future? Most people say, well, not really. Maybe on a scale from 1 to 10, maybe they're a 5 or maybe they're a 6. And as soon as I bring that up, the first thing they think about is that I'm going to ask them to cut back on their lifestyle so that they can put more money away for their financial future. And I'll be honest with you, I am really not interested in having that conversation. I don't want to tell you what kind of car to drive or what kind of vacation to go on. What I'd like to do is focus on the third area, and that's what we call transferred money. This is money that you're transferring unknowingly and unnecessarily to others. That's the money that I would like to look at. And if I could recapture some of that, the question I have for you is, would you spend it or would you save it? And most people say they would save it. And I'm a realist. I would say you'd spend some of it, but hopefully you'll save some of it. And if you will, I can have a major impact on your situation going forward. See, what I have learned over the years, that I can be more valuable to you by preventing losses and money being transferred away than I can in trying to get you a better rate of return. So let's look at this. Wealth transfers are monies that are being leaked to other financial institutions that you may or may not be aware of. And here's a list of those major transfers. And as you look this list over, you may be able to figure out that some of these things are already happening to you unknowingly and unnecessarily. So if you can think of the analogy of filling up a bucket with water. Now, there's two ways in which and that bucket has holes in it. Now, the first thing we could do is seal up that bucket, right? And a mere trickle will fill that bucket up pretty quick. Or you can try what most of the financial folks would want you to do, is to pour more money into that bucket. And again, that's where I believe we can add more value by plugging up the holes and avoiding losses. That can be way more valuable to you than by just trying to get you a better rate of return, putting more pressure on your investment portfolio, forcing you to take more risk than you should. Let's plug up those holes. And if you stay tuned to the next video, I'll show you some of those holes and how to plug them. So click on the next video and look forward to sharing this with you.